Well, Kristen Martin, who is the event coordinator, called me. I had not heard about this organization, but quite frankly, it's incredible. It's amazing. Nicole, what you've done is spectacular, incredibly creative in bringing everybody together in support of this. And Kristen Martin says, hey, I've got this guy. You got to, introduce him. He's a Trojan. A fight on. You got to do that. And you're a Trojan. So I said, well, send me his bio. Let me check it out. And so she did. And I read the bio, and I'm thinking, this guy is a stud. I need to meet, I just want to come to this event to meet this guy. And so I said, sure, I'll do it. I do teach a class on empowerment at USC, and this individual that's going to receive this award is the embodiment of empowerment. So thank you for inviting me to present this next award, the Rare Champion of Hope Award for Patient Advocacy, to an incredibly inspiring individual who I'm honored to share the stage with. Bill Barkeley is, are you related to Matt? Yeah, the quarterback, We'll play catch out there a little bit and check it out. Bill Barkeley is both deaf and blind. Bill's one of the 15,000 in the United States and 100,000 worldwide diagnosed with Usher's syndrome, a rare disease which progressively robs those affected of both their hearing and vision over the course of their lifetime. For most of us, a diagnosis like this would be very limiting, life-altering in so many ways. But for Bill, he chose not to give in to this disease. Instead, he chose to fight it like a true champion. Bill works in his advocacy role to inspire others with life-altering diseases to overcome their challenges and thrive. And he does so by example. Bill is an adventurer. He's an outdoor enthusiast who continues to challenge himself and his disabilities while becoming an inspiration to others. He trained and climbed Mount Kilimanjaro on the African continent, one of the most grueling mountains in the world. And earlier this year, he trained and finished one of the most difficult running races, the Boston Marathon, crossing the finish line with his 3 adult sons. What could be more gratifying than that? Bill's groundbreaking climb was covered by Good Morning America, where he was able to share his personal journey about building a life within the context of your abilities and disabilities. I think to some degree we all sort of fall into that category. He's a pioneer with assistive technologies for the hearing and vision impaired and the deafblind. I'm honored and humbled to present to a brethren athlete, a USC alum, the Rare Champion of Hope Award for Patient Advocacy to Mr. Bill Barkeley. Let's hear it for Bill.
Hi, good evening. They got a good trade-in program. You give them a cane and you get this. I want to thank all of you guys. I have to tell you, I got the email at first from the group on Global Genes, and first thing you do is you go to the website and start looking at it. And my first thought was, I found my people. And it really is nice to find your people, if you guys know what you mean in your life. And I really have to tell you, when they said that they wanted to give me an award, my first reaction was, how can I help you? I'm not here, and it's really not about me. My focus and my goal in my life is really to help out other people get to a better place. So, real quickly, I was born in 1962, and by the time I hit kindergarten, I had lost 85% of my hearing in the low tones and 100% in the high tone. And so I was on a journey for hearing loss, and I was mainstream and wore one hearing aid up until I was 18 years of age going to USC. The interesting thing was, I was 14 years old when one morning my brother came running into the room at 5:30 in the morning to tell me that my 21-year-old sister had died of a massive stroke. And after the autopsy came back, we found something out. This was the mid-1970s. She had Prader-Willi syndrome, a disease that we'd never heard of. She was mentally impaired, she was short in stature, and her body had the inability to process food. She never knew that she was full. We literally had to lock the kitchen door every night to keep her from eating, because she simply did not know when to stop. So that was my first real feeling of something rare really impacting a family and a person. Then later, I did go to USC, and I was 27, got married, and we had our first child. And that was 1989. And in the fall of 1989, I had 3 car accidents. So I did the normal thing. And that was, the first time I hit somebody and broadsided him, I blamed him. The second time when I broadsided somebody, I said, okay, maybe we ought to be a little bit more careful. So I resolved to go ahead and only make right-hand turns until we figured this left thing out. And then, the third time I crashed into a car, and I knew something was horribly wrong. And that horribly wrong took a year to figure out, as all of us rare gene people find out. So I found myself at Stanford, University of Michigan, finally at Harvard Mass Eye and Ear, to find out that I had Usher syndrome, and that my entire life I'd been going deaf, and now I was also, and had been for some time, going blind. I thought that's just the way that everybody saw the world. So I moved back to Michigan. It wasn't really that smart to drive a car 45,000 miles a year anymore when you're not seeing too well. But, you know, another incredible thing happened. 2 years after we moved in, family moves in next door. They have a 3-year-old son, and he has Sanfilippo syndrome. And I watched him as he went from a young child into a young man at the age of 13. He was an incredibly powerful, inspiring, and great person in my life. I was there with his parents when we lost him in his bedroom. That was another situation where a rare disease had affected my friends, family, and community. So I share these stories with you not to really tell you anything other than there's amazing people out there that see the world a little bit differently. And those are the people who are affected by rare diseases, whether it be the patient, the family, the doctors that they work with, or anyone in the community who volunteers to help them do what they need to do. My mission really has been one that other people gave me as a gift, and it's been one of the most inspiring things for me in my life. And that is, in serving other people and helping other people, you can't possibly put a limit on the potential of what a human being can do. And I am lucky. So this award is really not about the accomplishments, but I use the accomplishments to draw attention. And in drawing attention, amazing things can happen. So, yes, I had a corporate career for 25 years, but then I became a deaf-blind adventurer and storyteller talking to people around the world. But I do want to share with you one important thing, because this is about rare genes, about funding scientific discoveries. In 1989, they had no blood test for Usher syndrome. They didn't even know what the gene was. We couldn't do genetic testing. There was no way to slow or halt the progression of the disease in any form. And as a result, they basically said, you will continue to do your march. And there's very little we can do. 25 years later, I can stand in front of you and say, we know that there's over 30 genes involved in retinal inherited disorders. I can tell you that they're doing all kinds of research in nutrition, gene therapy. As a matter of fact, there's a famous dog named Lancelot, Labrador Retriever, who's had his sight restored for people who have one form, Leber congenital amaurosis, and it's now being used on babies and restoring their sight. It's one of the first successes in gene therapy in the world. So, there's hope. And so, California just passed that driverless training law last week or whatever for the driverless car. I stopped driving 18 years ago, but I can tell you I would love to drive again to get where I'm going. So, I just want to tell you that what we found in funding all those retinal diseases that were rare and orphan diseases, they laid the foundation of the scientific research that impact all eye-related disorders. So while I have retinitis pigmentosus, which is really rare, there's over 2 million people in climbing with macular degeneration. You know that one pretty well. Anybody over the age of 80, 50% will develop macular degeneration. We're outliving our eyes. But all of those mechanisms that funded the pharmaceutical research that's stopping macular degeneration started with research in orphan allied retinal diseases. And that's what we want to do with the RARE project, and I'll do anything I can to help. And thank you for allowing me to share the story.